Good morning, everybody. Welcome once again to BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Matthew, it is Friday, a very jam-packed weekend for me. I know you're headed to the lake. Me, I've got Sherwood Forest out there I got to cut down.
All you do
Not
is
me.
Yard work now.
Not me.
What are those pink flowers, those big, giant, pinkish red flowers in the corner of your garden when
I have
you
no idea, dude.
come in? Is
I
that a
have
you
no
or a
idea.
Carolyn
No, that's
deal?
Carolyn. I have no idea.
They look very healthy. I almost took a photo, like an artistic photo of them.
No,
I figured that might have been you.
No, I am in no condition to cut down Sherwood Forest because of my shoulder, but I've got the crew coming. I don't know if you noticed, dude, I got like 3 trees down because of the last storm that came through.
I did not notice that, but why are you hiring people to do yard work when you have 2 very able-bodied young men?
They're part of it. They're part of it.
Aaron and Marc?
Yeah.
He's going by Aaron now, right?
Yeah.
Now that he's a college football player.
Yeah.
AJ's out the window.
I still call him AJ, but yeah, no, he is part of it. They will be paid very well in water and food. And a little bit of cash. I'll throw them a little bit.
You know what I got paid for to do yard work growing up? Guess what I got paid? I got paid $20 to do this when I was a young kid.
This is a lot more than just yard work, dude. This is chainsaw stacking up.
No.
If you notice, there's no way to get a trailer back there.
I know. I mowed, but I got $20 for every mole that I killed out of the backyard.
I hope PETA didn't find out about that.
Well, they're ruining my dad's backyard. So when I was younger, I would get a lawn chair, and I would sit where the mole tunnel was, and I'd tamp it down, and then I'd sit with a pitchfork. That's kind of gruesome when you think about it back then.
Dude,
and I would wait for him to start tunneling, and then I'd go to work.
It's a little demented.
I'd make about $20 a week during the summer.
How much? A
20,
mole?
$20 a mole.
And you'd kill one a week.
About, yeah.
You got to step up your game, man. Jeez, one a week? That's not
Suckers
very
are
good.
hard to get.
It's not very good. Anyway, great show today. We're going to have Marc Menendez on here in about 15, 20 minutes. Talk about the situation that's taken place with the Asian Carp and all the research that I've done, dude. I've looked and it's amazing how much information on YouTube that you can find. And I was unaware some of the videos and some of the reports that I found were 8 years old.
Yeah, I think they... Uh-oh. Hey, guess who's going to...
You didn't take care of business, did you?
Come here, Izzy. Come here.
Oh, jeez.
Come here. Come here.
She's pissed off.
Come here. I guess...
This is our 18-pound
I guess this
cat.
is the impromptu. We had Buddy the cat. And if you're watching on iTunes, I'm barely able to get... You got both legs up there. That is... That's the new office cat. That is Izzy, the 18-pound office cat. Now, she's not... doesn't embody the spirit. Now, she's the spirit of Buddy, right?
Yes.
She's going to just hang out right there. She's going to go to sleep right there.
She is a rescue cat. She was going to be euthanized, and we rescued her. She's like 8 years old. Mm-hmm. She's massively overweight.
I have come into the office before, and all I've seen is the back half of the cat. It had jimmied open the tub that you keep the food in, and she was head first in the food because you have her on a restricted diet.
Yeah.
Look at that. She's happy as a clam.
Yeah. Now, Buddy would have been all over the place, but she's pretty chill, except when you don't feed her. She got her breakfast this morning. She's a little happy. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how long. Yeah, right on my freaking notes. Thanks for not taking care of the cat there,
We
Matthew.
could take a break. I could go put her in the room right now.
When we go to commercial break, we'll see how long.
No, but I'm interested to see. Marc Menendez was one of the few guys on the final day there. Obviously, made the top 12 at Kentucky Lake, having a great year.
Finished 8th at Lake Martin.
Absolutely, he's having a great year. He's actually.
What happened at Grand though?
I don't know, 86. But if you look at Marc's record over the past 9 Elite Series tournaments he's fished, he has 4 top 12 finishes.
Yeah.
So he's on a roll looking to make his first classic in 2019. It'll be the first one since 2010. Now, granted, there was a little bit of a hiatus there from the Elite Series, but still, it was kind of surprising to me that someone as established as him hasn't fished in the Classic since 2010.
Yeah, that's a good point. I had no idea. I knew he had been around a lot. Seasoned vet. Mm-hmm. Dude, he started doing this stuff from a professional standpoint in 1991.
I know. Did you know that he got second in the All-American?
Yeah.
He was runner-up in the All-American.
Yeah.
Remember
What year?
we did
No, I don't know what
that
year.
series of what the All-American
Yeah.
winners were up to.
What year
but-
was that? Do you remember?
No, I don't.
Was it in the 90s?
I don't remember, dude. I just remember that fact.
We'll
from
ask him.
Back
But
in the day.
yeah, man, he's been doing it a long, long time. And you know where his first tournament was? I always like to go back and look at this.
His first BASS tournament?
Yeah.
No.
It's on the Illinois River.
Oh, that's ironic because that's one of the major issues where the carp are having an
Yeah.
issue now.
Yeah, kind of crazy. All right, Southern Open going on. Wesley Strader up at the top of the leaderboard again. He's just on a roll, dude.
Yeah, and then Patrick Walters is leading it after day one, and
15
he's a
pounds.
former FLW college national champion. I think he fished for South Carolina with Geddes Brandon, who now works for Bass.
Yeah.
So you're seeing another dude from the college ranks, and he's a good fisherman, catches a lot of fish, but another dude from the college ranks making waves in professional bass fishing. So be interesting to see how the largemouth bite plays out there. A couple guys catching big ones off beds, including Jim Moyna.
James?
Jim
Didn't
Moyna.
They had him listed as James.
Oh, did they?
I think so.
Jim Moyna. So he had like a 6-pounder. So
think
that's
he's
an
going
interesting
by
tournament.
James now?
No, I think he's going by Jim.
Yeah, they had him listed
That's
as
like all the pros on Facebook who have their personal Facebook. They go by their middle name.
Yeah, by the
so
way,
people don't add him.
I was looking for photos for Mark.
Mm-hmm.
His profile pic on his
in the tuxedo
in the
with
suit?
the straight. That's been out there for years.
I
man.
know, but I'm not the social media guy. And I looked at that and I thought, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably the only one that has a professional angler that has his profile pic in a suit.
Yeah, I can't.
You know
think
of anybody else?
I can't think of any others.
All right, Dave is telling us it was the 1996 All-American.
Okay,
So it was in the 90s.
there you go.
All right, a couple of things I want to talk about real quick. I have been working late the last couple of nights, and I've had the TV on here in the studio. And you know what they had on last night? In fact, they've had it on the last 2 nights.
Game 7.
No, it had to do with the NHL.
Oh yeah, Snoop Dogg.
No.
Oh,
That's the Joker's Wild, which is ridiculous.
well, no,
It's an
Snoop Dogg's
embarrassment.
doing Hockey 101.
He's also doing the Joker's Wild.
I don't know what
which
that
is an
is.
embarrassment because that was an iconic game show back in the 70s.
Oh,
And it's just a total debacle. Can't stand it. I watched it for about 5 minutes and turned the channel. Anyway, the NHL has this partnership with, I don't know if it's EA Sports or whoever it is, with this electronic gaming, professional gaming
oh yeah, that's massive.
on
dude.
the NHL. Dude, they dedicated like 3 hours of programming on the NHL network just for that.
Yeah, that's massive now.
And when these guys would score, they would throw the camera and pan the camera on them, and they would just be stone-faced. Like, no big deal.
You never
Like,
watched the Madden stuff during the Super Bowl and all that?
No.
Oh, dude, it's huge. It's like bigger.
I had
It's like
no
the
idea.
biggest sport. Esports is like the biggest, like
Well,
one of
I
the biggest
knew-
sports in the world.
I knew about the esports stuff,
Quote,
but
quote, sports.
I had no idea that the NHL, you're getting
Oh, she's
annihilated there. See, that's what you get, man. You should have put her away. She does have some claws. They're
Anyway.
18 pounds. I had no idea that the NHL Network was dedicating so much resources and time and broadcasting, and these dudes are making some serious jack too.
Was it like 50 grand?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there is an avenue there during Classic Week to have bass fishing. I mean, that's big.
Yeah.
I play the Rapala bass fishing app on my phone like religiously. I'm one step away from unlocking Grand Lake. Right now I'm on Okeechobee, but I've through enough missions to where I'm almost to level 37 to unlock Grand Lake, and I'm pretty excited because, I mean, I know how to catch them at Grand. So
Yeah. The other thing that's been on the CBS Sports Network the last 3 nights, any idea?
no.
For at least, I think they've had 3 hours of programming the last 3 nights. Collegiate bowling. Both men's and women's. The team championships, the individual championships. And guess what has not taken over a vast majority of the teams?
Jerseys.
sublimation.
They're not supplementing.
Dude, they are wearing Adidas. They are wearing Nike. They're wearing stuff that the other athletic departments at the universities wear.
Like the polos. And
That's what I'm saying. You know, like the Elite Series stuff that Nike has. I think Nebraska was decked out in Adidas wear because I think they're an Adidas school. But good for them, man, getting tied in to what takes place with the other athletic functions involved in collegiate athletics instead of going the sublimation route. By the way, did you see what I'm all over the board here.
Yeah, you're just
there's a lot
around.
of stuff. Did you see, obviously, the TPC taking place?
What are you just sitting
week?
here watching TV
Dude,
for
I'm
20
working.
hours a day?
No. I listen to it at night, and I hear things that capture my attention, and I was like, what the hell is that? And I look, and there it is.
I did see it. Today's obviously the second day of the players.
Yeah, but did you see what last place was? You know. I I always look at last place. 10 over.
Okay.
Brandon Snedeker.
Brant Snedeker?
Is it Brant or
Yeah,
Brandon?
Brant.
Brant? Mm-hmm. It's not Brandon?
No.
You sure?
Yeah. I'm trying to use my mouse here.
Okay, anyway. He's got a cool last name. But this year they decided that they were going to pair up all the superstars together. All right? Not just, try and, go A
Brant.
player, B player.
Brant Snedeker.
Brant, okay.
Yeah, he's plus 10. He's
plus 10.
He's even through 7 today, so that's a massive improvement.
But what they did is they have that unique characteristic about, and I don't remember what hole it is, the 16th or the 15th, the island green. Yeah, you're going to suffer for this. Get over, Cat. Oh.
Anyway.
The island green. It was the shortest hole on the course.
And played the hardest?
Yes. Yes. Why is that? These guys are professionals. Why can't they hit a 120-yard shot into a very easily placed ball on the green?
Because it comes down to the same thing we talk about in fishing, and all of the pros talk about is the mental aspect of it.
Yeah.
The kind of the hero or zero thing.
Yeah. So got me thinking once again, and I do want to mention this because we talked about this on the last show about the whole situation with Rick Clunn. You know what I did, man? I did not try and call him. But what I did is I did reach out to somebody that is very, very close to Rick. And I talked to him for about 30 minutes. And he gave me a very different perspective because us as fans and us as being part of the media, I did not see this perspective that he gave me.
Okay, I'm interested. You have my attention.
All right. He understood what I was referencing about him being an iconic player, somebody who is idolized by so many people in this game, has a tremendous fan base, and is one of the most, productive anglers in modern time.
One of the most influential anglers in the
absolutely.
history of bass fishing.
He gets it. He gets why, I was just somewhat concerned or bothered or whatever. He understands that. But the point that he made was, look, dude, he's plopping down $5,500. It's not like an organization is paying him to participate. If he doesn't want to weigh in his fish, that's his choice. That's his choice. And I never really thought about that because you think of it with all due respect to all organizations. Everybody, I think, for the most part, still considers the Elite Series the top tour. All right, not to take anything away from FLW. I'm not doing that. But the iconic status that he has, you wouldn't really think from a perspective of he's right. It's his money. He did what he wanted to do. If he doesn't want to bring his fish up,
there's
that's
nothing
his
that
choice.
says he doesn't have to.
Exactly.
I mean,
so I never really thought of that before. Had you ever thought about that?
Absolutely.
So this person actually told me also, he goes, look, man, I've fished in team tournaments, and we're not fishing for points, and I've had, even if we were fishing for points, and I've had a crappy 2 events, and there's only 4 team events throughout the season, and I go out and I stink it up. He goes, I may not weigh in those fish.
You didn't weigh him in the Bass Nation a couple of years ago.
But there was a reason. There was a strategical play on that because I did not want to hurt other guys trying to make it, of which I had no chance.
You also didn't have people waiting for your autograph when you weighed in. And it also wasn't $5,500, and you also weren't in a 12 tournament series that counted towards the end of the year.
That's his choice.
Yep,
now,
100%.
Whether or not, there are multiple paths that people can form opinions about this subject. I don't have an opinion on it. Dude, I just want the dude to go out on top.
Mm-hmm.
When he gets to the point that he decides, hey, I've had enough. This game has been enormously gracious to me. I am so appreciative about what has taken place in the game of professional bass fishing. My time is up. Hopefully he will be somewhere near the top of his game at least.
He's still got another couple good ones in him.
Yeah,
man.
that's what I'm
saying.
saying.
Still got some more top 10s in him.
Yeah. So I'm glad you got rid of the cat. Actually have some bowling comments here. People like the Baker format. You know what the Baker format is?
Never heard of it.
It's like when you're a collegiate team, you have 5 members.
Oh, and you each bowl a frame.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty cool. Wow. What is this? It's finally fishing opener in Minnesota tomorrow.
That means you can finally go bass fishing and not get in trouble.
Is there not still ice on the lake? No, I know that it's May.
Yeah.
Maybe in some places, maybe a little bit of ice? No?
No, I know. I was looking at some of the stuff from Trevor Lowe that he was putting out on his social media a week ago, and he was still breaking ice.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, yeah, dude, we're trying to get ready. We got our next one-on-one live, and I've been working on some of the equipment and some of the technology, and we're going to feature, as we mentioned on the last show we did, Mike McClellan and Jeff Crete. The other thing, I'm going to throw a tease out there. Have you seen the teases that I've thrown out there on the Bass Zone message board at all?
The aggressive all capital letter, where are your balls teases? Those?
I never said that.
You use like blank, blank, blank.
You can put whatever 4-letter word you want to in there.
It's your deal. It's your marketing strategy. You're trying to anger people into doing this.
You could put whatever 4-letter word
Let me
you
just
want
say,
to in there.
The whatever promos you've put out on the message board have been shockingly aggressive.
What's wrong with that?
I've had multiple people be like,
what the hell is he talking about?
Yeah. And is Jeffrey's okay?
No, if you have the fluff. Isn't fluff a 4-letter word?
Yeah, if you have the balls, do you have the balls to do this is what you're saying?
Game?
Yes, the game.
Game?
So when are you breaking all this stuff out and letting everybody know what it is?
We got confirmation yesterday. All right. This is pretty cool. Sometime during the last week of May, all right, because there's some stuff going on the last week of May with this individual. We don't know what day, but it's going to be one morning or evening the last week of May. He will be live right here in studio. It's not an Oklahoma guy either. He'll be live here in studio, and he is going to announce with me this new adventure.
Cool.
He's not a part of it. Well, I take that back. He has no financial interest or he has nothing to do with it, but he has everything to do with the first one.
Cool. Well, it's not going to be May 30th at 10 a.m. Central Time because that's when we're having the Crete versus McClellan big bite one-on-one live.
Yeah, it won't be on the 30th.
Okay.
All right. But we don't know with his schedule when it will be. All right? All right?
Is it that dude?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. That'll be fun.
Yeah. So, very, very, very nice. All right, what else, man? Any thoughts before we take a break?
No, I'm interested in getting Menendez's take on this because obviously he is a fisheries biologist and he has seen issues, things that have gone down on the Elite Series, and he's not afraid to see them through. He's not just a dude who gets up there and says something about it and then forgets about it and moves on to the next tournament. And I want to ask him about that because when he gets passionate about something, I don't know if any of you remember, and I'll ask him about this, what went down on the St. Lawrence River a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But he knows the avenues that he can take to make things happen and make things right. So I'll be interested to hear about that. And then I'm also interested to hear about his season, too. He's having a good year. I mean, you look at the guys who have fished on Sunday multiple times, and he's in a select group through the first three events.
He is one of the members of the Millionaire Club, over $1.1 million in earnings. So it'll be interesting to get his take on a lot of stuff. All right, we're going to take a break, run a promo, a couple commercials, and then we'll be back with Marc Menendez.
Way faster than Mike. It takes Mike 3 days to figure them out.
I do get an hour and a half to practice, so at least I've got a chance to get out there, try to put something together. But I mean, the home field advantage is going to reign huge for Creek.
Kind of need the advantage right now.
I just really think I got just absolutely stabbed in the back.
So am I going to beat Mike McClung in this deal? Guaranteed.
The most versatile fishing machine on earth. Unparalleled resolution and clarity, with more agility, lightning speed, and brute strength. HDS Carbon takes rapid response performance and screen technology to an all-new level. Maximized power, maximized visibility. See Structure Scan 3D, new dual chirp sonar, new live network sonar, and more mapping options, all at the same time and faster than ever before. Pros depend on hydraulic jack plates to get the best out of their boats. Do what they do. Demand Atlas performance. Atlas gets you from the bottom to the top in less than 8 seconds, even with the big 4 strokes. And when you gotta turn right around and get that heavy load back up in rough water, Atlas's innovative design and American-made components will get you there with confidence.
I'm at Depot. Just look for yourself. There's an Atlas jack plate on just about every professional's boat.
The Atlas hydraulic jack plate. You can depend on it.
My rods look different because they are different. Every rod is built by the pros and for the pros. When you pick up a white Duckett fishing rod, you're getting a cutting-edge rod, one that's truly pro-driven with the actions you need for every bait category you fish. I put my name on it. It's my promise to build you a great rod you can count on.
Duckett Fishing, Micro Magic, Macro Magic, or White Ice.
Try them. They work.
When you are on the water, you need performance you can count on. Lowrance has been proving it for more than 60 years. Just ask our pros. HDS Carbon is the choice of champions. The clearest, most visible screens and killer new features like fish reveal and dynamic high visibility contrast ensure you catch more. Now is the ultimate time to get the best deal. Save up to $500 when you buy a qualifying HDS Carbon in the Ultimate Upgrade Sales event before May 31st.
Hey guys, Russ Lane, Bassmaster Elite Series Pro. Man, I am so excited to be joining the AFCO Pro staff. They got some really cool, innovative products to help you have a more enjoyable, comfortable day while you're out there on the water. Really stylish, great functional clothing. You're gonna love it. The thing I'm most excited about though is AFCO has pledged to donate 10% of their total profits back to supporting the conservation of our fisheries, and I am all about supporting a company that's about supporting conservation so that we can enjoy our bass fishing for a long time. Check us out, AFCO.
Jacob Wheeler and Tommy Biffle have a lot in common.
flat bill.
The perfect shape.
You gotta love some white tackle.
I know I have a spinning rod.
I love my hammer crawl.
Biffle bug.
Rigged
on a hardhead.
Well, they could be twins. Bifflebug, hammer crawl, hardhead, from Gene LaRue.
Let me help you, man.
Let me help that hat.
Whoa.
There you go. I already looked better.
When I talk about Sunline, I think of one word, confidence.
Sunline FX2 is what I use for all of my frogging and flipping.
SX1 braid, which braid plays a big part in fishing line.
Shooter, I'm going to use in those close quarter deals like flipping and pitching.
One of my favorite techniques in fishing the tournament trail is to fish offshore ledges.
We have taken the questions out of the equation.
Take my word for it. It works. It works, dude.
All right, we are back on a Friday, and hopefully everybody's going to make their way out to a little fishing this weekend.
It's a good weekend. They're on the beds at Thunderbird big time. 3-4 fish per bed.
Yeah, you kick
rolling,
Jared
rubbing.
Miller's butt
I
Wednesday
wouldn't
night?
say that.
Shut him out, right?
He didn't catch one for the first time in like 3 years in the Wednesday nighter.
Wow.
He wins about 80% of those, by the way. We're talking about former Elite Series pro Jared Miller, who now full-time sinks brush and fishes on Lake Thunderbird, makes his career on the Wednesday night jackpots,
He's
$300
like that, just
bucks at a time.
Just like golf, he's the lake professional.
Yes.
You know, at golf courses, they have the
Club Pro. Yeah. He's the Club Pro at Dirty Bird.
All right, we're going to have Marc on just in a few minutes. I want to run a report that I found. This is from a Fox News affiliate in Kentucky, and they do a pretty decent job explaining some of the stuff that's going on in Kentucky
When is
Lake
this from?
in reference of, I think this is, let's see here, 2015.
Okay, let me just give a 20-second synopsis in case you've been living under a rock of what's going on. Elite Series went to Kentucky Lake. Day one of practice. The Asian Carp have gotten into Kentucky Lake. Obviously been a major issue trying to keep them out of the Great Lakes over the years in the Mississippi, Illinois River, kind of that. They're, I believe, filter feeders. They eat the stuff that the little fish eat, that the big fish eat, and then that the little fish need to get big, the whole 9 yards. So it's not good. Reproduce like crazy, millions of them in it. Idling, there's a vibration in the motor that agitates them and makes them jump high distances out of the water. Jason Christie had videos. There's one in the Rojas on tour that you can find on Bass Zone where you can see some of it. Ike had 3 jump in his boat. Everyone was posting photos of it. So it's a major issue, and the fact that the Elite Series, with all the attention that it draws, all the national exposure brings to Kentucky Lake, really brought this problem to light.
Because but then they were told not to say anything about it.
They were told them to tone it down a little bit.
And I think a number of guys on the final day really said, hey, whatever we got to do to try and help out with this situation.
And Marc Menendez was one of them, being a local on Kentucky Lake, being a fishery that he grew up on, has fished for the past 30 years. So, all
right, so here is the Fox 56 report from, I think, 3 years
ago. Look at that guy's tie.
Rapidly moving up a river, causing death and destruction all along the way.
And the underwater invaders are so strong and so numerous, it appears nothing can stop them. But truth is stranger than fiction, and a certain species of fish has indeed become public enemy number 1 to Kentucky's fishing and boating industry. Kentucky Lake looks like paradise to a fisherman or boater, a place for fun, relaxation, and just taking in the views. But just beneath the surface of the pristine water lies a villain that threatens to ruin everything that makes this place special.
I was always worried about pollution, maybe being the demise to commercial fishing, but it's not. This right here is the biggest threat to Kentucky Lake.
The enemy, Asian carp, a fish that was brought into the U.S. from China in the 1970s to control algae in southern catfish ponds. But the carp escaped the ponds, made it into the Mississippi River, and went on a rampage, quickly heading north into the Ohio River and tributaries in Kentucky and beyond.
You know, we're very concerned these days about species extinction. And Asian carp are a direct competitor for all fish species in the river.
The carp are voracious eaters, gobbling up all the plankton and other plants native fish need to survive. And one female can lay 1 million eggs a year. If just 1% of them mature, that's 10,000 more offspring per fish every season. And they can grow to be 70 to 100 pounds. Some lakes are literally stuffed to the gills.
Let me put it to you this way. Below the Kentucky and Barkley dams, a lot of people quit fishing for sauger and striped bass down there because they can't even get their lures to the bottom to catch them.
There's millions of pounds in here. I fish out here on these drops in the summertime, and they'll come up on top, and it's nothing but solid carp.
And there's another problem. Boat motors agitate the fish, causing them to leap several feet into the air. They can ruin a boat and take all the fun out of skiing.
It hurts when it hits you. We have a lot of pictures of people getting broken noses and jaws and cuts because these things jumped into them out of the water.
If the fish drive boaters and fishermen away from Kentucky and Barkley lakes, it could be devastating. It's estimated tourism and fishing bring $1.2 billion to the region's economy every year.
I want to see this fish.
The federal government has spent billions of dollars trying to kill or control the fish, concerned now that they'll make it to the Great Lakes. Kentucky fish and wildlife leaders are now concentrated on turning these trash fish into a treasure.
You guys know there's enough Asian carp out there.
They staged a fishing tournament in 2013, trying to convince commercial fishermen there's money to be made in capturing carp. The pros netted 83,000 pounds of carp in just 2 days and didn't make a dent in the population. The goal is to get processing plants to turn the fish into pet food, fertilizer, or even convince more Americans to eat them. They're bony and hard to clean, but Kentucky Afield host Tim Farmer says it's worth the effort.
It is some of the best fish I've ever eaten. Now, people laugh at me, farmer, you'll eat anything. But let me tell you what, I've tried it smoked, I've tried it fried, I've tried it baked, and it is absolutely delicious.
Experts say fish markets in China would buy all we could send them if it became cost effective.
I think you're going to see commercial value of these things go up to the point to where you're going to see industries popping up all up and down the Mississippi River Basin. That will spell the trouble for the carp.
One thing's for sure, the carp aren't going away.
What's going to happen when these things keep on and keep on and keep on? You just don't know.
Experts say it's a problem that should concern everyone. And if we can't find a way to control the fish, they'll soon be out of control and rule and ruin our waterways. The state is offering tax incentives to fisheries in western Kentucky to process and market the carp worldwide. Officials believe the plants could create about 300 jobs. And I'd like to thank the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources for...
All right, there you have it. Pretty good summary of what's taking place, wouldn't you say, Matthew?
Yeah, very well done.
So let me work on getting Mark in here now.
You
see the scars, man?
I see what?
The scars on some of those people from being hit?
Oh, yeah. Broken noses.
That's crazy.
I can believe it after seeing what I saw out there.
Yeah. All right, hang on here. I thought you might cover for me while I'm getting this set up.
Well, we didn't have this in the pre-derby meeting, but I think we're good to go now.
Yeah, we don't do
He's
that.
fishing?
Yeah.
Where's he fishing?
I'm not sure what he's doing. I think he's doing some filming.
Oh.
For Tackle Warehouse, maybe.
He's right in the middle of a segment.
Hello.
Hey, Mark, you're live, man. How are you?
Hey. I'm doing well. I'm on the water, filming television and filming with Tackle Warehouse guys, and we're having a big time.
All right. So what's the morning been like so far?
To the tune of probably my best 5 weighing a good strong 18.5 to 19 and probably 30 pounds of bass caught. It's been fun. Catch him on a jerkbait, Mark.
Wow.
Strike King jerkbait. So it's been fun.
I have a question, Mark. I'm a big fan of the A-Train, who does the Tackle Warehouse wrap-ups on their website.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the A-Train personally?
I do. I have not spent any time with the A-Train. I got the B-Train and the C-Train with me here today.
Okay. We were trying to get the A-Train on the show.
I know.
We've called like 8 different numbers. They've been disconnected. The A-Train, I'm not kidding you, Mark. It's harder to get harder to get the A-Train on the show than it is Kevin Van Dam.
Well, the A Train, he's got, they've got him in there working hard. He's over there doing all of his video stuff. So, but I do have an inside connection that I could probably get the number to get to the A Train.
Okay.
I bet you $1 I've got that.
After we're done here, we stay on the line. We're getting the A Train's direct line.
Yes.
Direct, absolutely.
We want to get him on the show. All right, man. Let's talk a little bit about your season so far, and then eventually we're going to get into the task at hand about talking about the Asian Carp situation. But so far, man, 3 events, 2 top 12s, a little bit of a hiccup at Grand Lake. But what has been the reason for such a good performance so far this year, Mark?
Well, what's probably a little known, Mark, is that Lake Martin is probably one of my favorite lakes. I spent a lot of time back in the early 90s fishing several open tournaments over there. I used to fish a big Shriners event over there, big team event where it had 300 boats and had some top 5s over there. And it's just a lake I really get along with. So that was kind of a homecoming that was unexpected. The hiccup at Grand wasn't really a hiccup. I caught a lot of fish and was throwing a 1.5 square bill and just did not get a good bite the second day of the event. I had plenty of fish caught. And Kentucky Lake, I took a play out of Jason Christie's book and what he said about the Grand Tournament. And I fished areas on Kentucky Lake, Mark, that I have never fished in my life. I know how to fish Kentucky Lake. I knew what the pattern would be, but I had to go somewhere where I didn't run familiar stretches. I know this stretch holds a bass, that stretch holds a bass on Kentucky Lake. So I went to areas that I literally had to figure out in the tournament because I had never been there before, fishing the correct pattern, which was bushes. And it got me to the final day. Now, the untold story there, Mark, was the final day is I ran back north to the homeland where I grew up fishing, and I started looking for fish that were coming off the bank, and I fired up a big school and was unsuccessful on 3 really quality bass and a 4th one that I missed that would have it might have been, it wouldn't have changed the outcome, but it would have certainly given me an additional 8 or 10 points for Angler of the Year. So I was a little bummed about not completing that, but doggone it, it was good to be at home in front of all my home folks and have a great performance.
Did you wipe your graph clean of all the waypoints and spots and all that? I know some of the guys do that, so when they're driving past them, they're not when they are determined to fish new water. Or did you? I would imagine it'd be hard to find water you haven't fished out there as many years as you spent on Kentucky Lake.
Well, that's true, but this time, Matt, I actually didn't have any waypoints because I never fished that far south. So I didn't have to wipe out my Garmin unit or anything. It was I've never been back there before, so it was really fun to fish new water on an old lake and know how to react in that new area. That was really cool. I caught most of them flipping a Strike King game hog, a black game hog, and just being very thorough and very patient and not getting many bites, which was really scary. Normally this time of year on Kentucky Lake, it's a 20 to 50 fish day. And guys, in the 7 days of practice and tournament, I had 32 keeper bites. 32. That's less than 5 a day. The first day of practice, I never caught a keeper. So the other thing that's so alarming to me is the fact that, Matt, I didn't catch many undersized fish. I bet I didn't catch 10 or 15 that were under 15 inches. That's my concern. That's my real concern right there.
Well, let's jump right into it. Is part of that scenario due to the Asian Carp situation?
I can't think of any other reason that it's not. All of our Young of the Year fish are having to compete with millions and millions of additional visitors in our lake. Mark, a lake has what's called a carrying capacity, and that is the number of fish, regardless of species, that it's capable of holding. So populations cycle up and down within that carrying capacity. You have good years of crappie spawns, and the crappie numbers go up for a while, then they go down, and you have a good year of bass spawns, and your bass spawns go up, and then they'll go down. That's a natural phenomenon in our lakes. But what's happening here is the Asian carp, the silver carp, and the bighead carp in particular, are such prolific spawners and grow so quickly that they get out of the food base for our predatory fish. As the numbers of game fish decline, that gives more room for the Asian carp numbers to expand. Now, if this cycle continues, we're going to have a real problem. We're not recruiting any game fish up through the ranks. When Kentucky Lake showed a 4-pound average, hey, that I'll rank that with any lake in the country as far as this past tournament. A 4-pound average is very strong. But when these 4, 5, 6, and 7-pound fish get out of the system, when they pass through on their life cycle and they get out of the system, there's nothing there to replace them as far as game fish. Now, here's a bet I'll make you two guys. I will give you $1,000 today if you can come to Kentucky Lake and get me a 1-gallon ice cream bucket full of threadfin shad. My food base is gone in the lake. I did not see but 1 or 2 small schools of shad, which I found on the final day of the tournament when I got those fish fired up on the crankbait that I lost on the way to the boat. That's the only shad that I saw, threadfin-wise, the entire week. I did see a few gizzard shad, but not very many.
Well, do the carp feed on the threadfin?
These Asian carp, when they're growing up, they outcompete our young of the year game fish. They eat the microorganisms, the zooplankton, the phytoplankton, and they grow quickly. And then they turn to whatever they can eat. 2 years ago in the Bass Fest tournament in 2016, there's a little area on Kentucky Lake that generally the fish spawn in pretty late. And this was the 1st of June, and you can sneak in there and get some post-spawn or shallow by watching the flat back there and catching them on surface, either a sexy dog or a KVD splash, something like that. So I'm back there, and I let the boat settle, and I see one roll. Whoosh. And I was Johnny on the spot, Mark. I threw that sexy dog in there, and I twitched it twice, and I didn't get a bite. I'm like, wow, I made a great cast, and I didn't get bit. So I see another whoosh. I fire over there. I don't get a bite on it. I was Johnny on the spot. I see 10 or 12 more of these and realize that this is a fish that's not breaking through the surface like a bass feeding, but it's just under the surface humping up the water. So I sit for a little while, and I start getting a visual. I get a good angle where the glare wasn't. I could see down in the water. And it's 3 to 4 pound Asian carp eating shad fry like crazy, just gorging on the shad fry.
Wow.
So, yes, they do. And I did not catch a bass back there that week.
Why did we not hear more about the Asian carp at that Bass Fest tournament, and what has made them, I guess, explode in that time period between when you guys were there last time and now?
Well, when we were there in June, Matt, and I think what really happened is in June, these Asian carp, the big head carp in particular, stay out on the open water and the ledges and the good ambush points. Excuse me. And the silvers spread to the shallower water. And I think we had a uniformity of carp spread everywhere. This time, the majority of the Asian carp were on the main lake and in preparation for spawning. They're getting ready to spawn. I have a video at home shot in 2016 before that along Kentucky Dam where my cousins and my kids were walking on the dam having a nice stroll on a Sunday afternoon to where I see 60 yards deep and probably 200 to 300 yards of Asian carp spawning along Kentucky Dam. Just this big black mob of jumping, rolling, and spawning going on, and it was so troubling to me at that point. I think it's just a matter of when we were there, but they have been very thick and very evident in our lake for at least the last 5 to 6 years, and starting to cause problems about that 2016 tournament where anglers thought they found the mother lode with side imaging, and they were Asian carp.
Wow. So what, in the report that we ran before we had you on, it sounded like that the state agencies are trying to do some things to eliminate it, but it sounds like they're not even putting a dent in it.
Well, they're so prolific, Mark. A 10-pound fish has 40,000 eggs and it spawns multiple times a year. With the growth rate and the lack of predatory fish, it's just Asian carp heaven. We've got another problem in Kentucky Lake, which is completely secondary, is the fact that we have the thickest amount of zebra mussels we've ever had. The sodium levels have gotten higher, up above 25, and they're growing at a quick rate now. And it's hard to wind a plug or something on the bottom where you don't catch these big zebra mussels. They're big zebras. They're the size of quarters.
Wow.
So that's clearing the water. So that's another thing that's filtering out all the nutrients in the water. But that's the double-up thing that's going on right now. They just grow so darn fast and eat so much. It's amazing. Now, the one thing that you guys probably don't know is the size of the darn things. A very close friend of mine, the late Bill Schrader, a great bass fisherman from Western Kentucky, snagged one with a big spoon out there jerking the big spoon out there deep on Kentucky Lake, and it weighed 102 pounds. Jeffries, it was as tall as you are, dude.
Wow.
It was humongous. He was 82 years old at the time and managed to catch that big old fish, and it took him about a mile and a half to catch him. So they are big. Now, that's the big head carp. They get up into that 100-pound range. The silvers kind of top out at about 60 pounds. That's the jumpers. The silvers are the jumpers.
So let me ask you this then. In a perfect world, you have unlimited funds, you have unlimited resources. What do you do to get these things out of there?
Well, to eradicate them?
Yes, in a perfect world. Unlimited resources.
Unlimited resources. To eradicate them,
Mm-hmm.
I would have to take and quarantine Kentucky Lake, 180,000 square acres, road-known the whole thing, and start over. That's the only way I know to get them out. Now, I have a theory on something that could possibly be done, and I'd like to share it with you guys. The eggs of the Asian carp are very much like stripers, saltwater run stripers. They're semi-bullion eggs, and they need a long distance, a distance of about 45 to 50 miles to tumble in the current to incubate and hatch. So one thing the Corps of Engineers may want to do, it will be very hard to do due to weather constraints, is to stop the flow coming in and stop the flow going out of Kentucky Lake about the spawning time of these Asian carp. That way those semi-bullion eggs would go to the bottom, stay on the bottom, smother, and die. That's an opportunity. Is that a reality that can be done? I kind of doubt it, but that's a theory that I have, that we may be able to at least slow down the proliferation of these fish during that spawning time to slow the water down so the eggs can't tumble and they can't incubate. So that is a natural way to do it. You know, with my 27 years of being on tour and traveling all over the country, seeing invasive species being gobies, zebras, milfoil, and hydrilla, Mother Nature has always put a correction in the marketplace on them and cured the issue some way or another. Will she do that with these Asian carp? Will something happen? We have had multiple fish kills here on Kentucky Lake, where last year in the spring, the small Asian carp, the Asian carp that were 2 to 5 to 6 to 8 pounds, a huge majority of them died off. It was due to some sort of a bacteria that got in the water system and killed that year class. Didn't kill the big ones, it killed the little ones. The other fish kills have been below Barkley Dam and Kentucky Dam, which were estimated at 500,000 fish per fish kill. And they're blaming supersaturation of the oxygen on that as we opened the gates on Kentucky Lake and Barkley Lake below the dams there, and the water oxygenated, and it's put more than a normal level of oxygen in the water and killed those fish. And that killed all size Asians, but it didn't kill the game fish for some reason. So that's kind of a mystery to me. I'd like to have more information on that. But we have had some small fish kills in the last 2 years.
All right, Mark, a couple of questions. One, the species made its way to other bodies of water on the Tennessee River?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Let me explain to you a recent sighting of one that I call credible, because the young man that saw him is my roommate, Bradley, or not Bradley, but Greg Menson, that fishes the Elite Series. Greg's from Wetumpka, Alabama, nowhere close to the Tennessee River. Greg fishes around Lake Jordan an awful lot. You guys remember several years ago when Jay Yellis ran up below Jordan Dam in floodwaters, ran up in the rocks, he won Angler of the Year. Well, Greg fishes up there on a regular basis and saw approximately a 40-pound big head carp below the dam at Jordan Lake. So let's think a minute. They came up the Mississippi. They turned right on the Ohio River at Cairo. They swam past my hometown of Paducah to get into Kentucky Lake as they entered the Tennessee River right at the foot of Broadway in Paducah. They walked through Kentucky Dam, swam on south for a while upstream, got to Pickwick, went through that dam. Well, this particular fish decided to go back south. It liked the warmer weather, went to the back of Yellow Creek on Pickwick and got into the Tennessee Tom Bigby Waterway. Swam through Bay Springs, went through the Aberdeen Pool, the Columbus Pool, and the Aliceville Pool on the Tom Bigby. Met the Alabama River just north of Mobile, about 40 miles, and decided to turn left. It went through Miller's Ferry, then the Jones Bluff Lock, and then it swam another 60-some miles and got up to the base of Jordan Dam where there is no lock, and now it's stuck. That's the pathway that fish went. There's been evidence already that they have found Asian carp DNA in Red Wing, Minnesota on the Mississippi, the upper part of the Mississippi. They have been found below Lewis and Clark Dam on the Missouri River in South Dakota. 9 out of every 10 fish on the Illinois River that joins the Mississippi River in St. Louis and goes to Lake Michigan is an Asian carp. And I would guess, just by the proliferation and the way they travel, they're already in the 2019 Classic waters in Knoxville, Tennessee on Loudon and Tellico. So every stem of anything that touches the Mississippi River is now infected.
Wow.
Kids, that's a problem. That's a problem. That is going to affect every body of water, every angler that wants to fish, that loves to fish. It's going to infect boat sales. It's going to infect tackle sales. What are we going to do? We're behind the ball. The first one of these I ever saw, guys, was in 1995 at the foot of Broadway in Paducah. A friend of mine worked at a machine shop, and when they would take their lunch break in the middle of the night, he worked the evening shift, they would go down there and fish for sauger for an hour and then go back to work. Well, he caught one of these things in 1995 and brought it to me because he knew I had a fishery biology degree and I might be able to identify it. I had no idea what the fish was, and that was 1995. It was a 15 to 16-inch fish, smelled to high heaven, nastiest smell of a fish you've ever seen, and had slime on it and little bitty tiny scales on it. And it was the first Asian carp I'd ever seen. That was in 95.
And what is the origin? Do you know what the origin is, Mark?
The origin is a flood in 1993 in northeast Arkansas and northeast Louisiana. There were some aquaculture ponds that had these Asian carp in them. Flood got so high, it was I guess it was a 100-year flood. It got so high, it inundated those ponds, and there's your base population.
Wow.
And they obviously can survive in 35-degree water and 100-degree water.
They certainly can. Now, I saw one at the Sabine River when we were there in 2015, my first year back after losing my wife to cancer. I go there and I see one in the Sabine. So how did it get to the Sabine? That means that the Atchafalaya Basin now has them in it because they opened up a vent in the Mississippi River that flooded the Atchafalaya Basin to reduce floodwaters that would affect New Orleans. So they swam into the Atchafalaya. There's a lock at the bottom of the Atchafalaya. So this fish locked out, turned right, and swam through brackish water to get to the Sabine River on the Louisiana-Texas border. Now, how scary is that?
That's pretty scary. And my big concern, and my next question for you, Mark, is this is going to have a massive economic impact, not just on the fishing industry, but the recreation and tourism business also. Have we gotten to the point where companies, large corporations that are heavily funded through recreation, tourism, fishing, everything else, have these companies realized how drastic and how much of an economic impact this situation is creating? And have they allocated, is there any companies besides the government agencies that have allocated funding or even awareness or anything for this issue?
I don't think so. I don't think anybody knows how it's going to affect everyone yet. I don't think we can quite predict that. What I can predict is there's not as many people at the boat ramps on Kentucky Lake. There's not as many people wanting to stay in the hotels on Kentucky Lake. I know a couple of realtors are saying they're not getting as many calls from retirees wanting to look at property on Kentucky Lake. That's all the indicators I need to know that this is going to be an economic problem. I'd like to know what the gross numbers of revenues are in the fishing industry, not the bass fishing industry, just the fishing industry total. And that is a major portion of the United States economy. I want to say, don't quote me, but it's a $300 million or maybe a $3 billion industry fishing in the United States. It's a bunch, and it's going to affect it at some point.
Well, if nothing gets done, Frank in Michigan on the instant feedback says, hey, if nothing gets done, what is Kentucky Lake going to look like in 5 to 10 years?
I would give it 24 months, and then I'll be challenging you to go out there and catch 5 bass in a day's time. Wow. And those better fish that we caught this week go through the system, and they die out. I'll challenge you. You're not going to catch many bass in the lake. The crappie, I caught several crappie flipping last week, which is a typical thing on Kentucky Lake this time of year on soft plastics. And I could hold them up to the sunlight and read the newspaper through them. Very poor, very bad condition, very thin crappie. Kentucky Lake has always been one of the premier crappie lakes in the United States. And those fish were in bad shape.
This sounds like a C-grade horror flick on Sci-Fi that runs at like 2 a.m.
Sure. Yeah.
The awareness.
Asian Carp from another planet.
Yeah. The awareness, though, if we reach the point where something has to be done now, Mark, and should the organizations step up, because I mean, be it FLW, Bass, be it Yamaha, Mercury, be it whoever, what is it going to take to get these people to realize that the platform that you have, we need to voice the power and the strength that those entities have to try and solve this situation?
We have to. It's our responsibility, Mark, for our generation to do something for my children and your children, because they're not going to be able to have the same vision of our fresh water in the United States unless we do something about it. We need to contact every local representative, every congressman, every House of Representative member, call the jailer, call anybody that's an elected official, and start making some noise. If we don't, we're not going to get heard. Kevin Van Dam told me last week this is the scariest thing he has ever seen in bass fishing. That is a monumental statement, and he's correct. He's correct. This is something that can change our lives. I told Trip Weldon at Bass, I said, Trip, we've got to band together. We've got to move forward on this. We've got to make some numbers on this, because the organization of Bass and FLW and these tournament organizations, they are the ones that stand to lose the most. Because if we can't catch any bass in our public waters, how are they going to host events? So it is something that is that tragic. We are going to have a meeting May the 24th at Paris Landing with the Tennessee officials, public meeting, a forum, and that's May the 24th at Paris Landing. I hope I can attend that because I will be coming back from practicing at the Sabine River. I'm going to try to drive straight there to attend this meeting. We've got to have these open forums. We've got to help our DNRs. Our DNRs are struggling with this fish because they're so prolific. We've got to start making some noise and get these Congress people, these people that control our federal monies. I'm afraid this has gone to the federal level, that our state level is all going to have to go to the federal level to push this along. But we've all got to band together, and the time is now. If we don't do something now, we're going to be in bad shape. You know, the final morning, Mark, when I was running up Kentucky Lake, I'm running, the lake runs north-south, so the sun's coming up over the ridge to my right shoulder running north. It was a beautiful sunrise. The colors were gorgeous, and I got emotional about it because it's going to be a memory of the last decent tournament that I ever got to participate in on Kentucky Lake. My lake is not going to ever be the same. My memories of catching 25 to 100 bass a day, catching 25 to 35 pounds a day, those are all going to be memories. And I don't want that for the rest of the people in my part of the world and the rest of the people in the United States that love to fish as much as I do. I don't want that to happen.
All right, man. This has been really, really good, very informative, and I hope everybody understands the importance and the realization both from a social and an economic impact on what this thing is doing and what it will continue to do unless you do exactly what you talked about, Mark, and get involved and put forth the communication and try to do everything you can to make contact with your state and federal legislator and do everything you can to try and make them realize how this situation is. All right, I want to end on a good note. I want to talk a little bit about, are you fired up about the remainder of the season, and what event are you really, really looking forward to?
Oh, Mark, I tell you, I'm looking forward to the lacrosse event. That's going to be a great event. I'm standing here watching a bald eagle fly over me right now. That's the one that's going to be a great event. That's a great fishery up in Mississippi. The carp haven't affected it yet, but there are a few in that part of the world. That's going to be either a smallmouth or a largemouth deal. I love going to Waddington, New York. The St. Lawrence River is such a scenic, beautiful place. The sketchiest one is going to be Lake Travis, which is a lake I've not been to. I'll be there this week, and then going back to the Sabine. It's unfortunate that we're stuck in fishing Texas waters only, and we can't spread out. But the Sabine is going to be the wild card. If I can get out of there like I did last time with a top 25, I will be a very, very happy young man. But I'm just enjoying the fishing. I don't have any pressure on myself anymore. No pressure. I'm just fishing, and just every time I get a bite, I set the hook. So I'm having a good time. It's a lot of fun again.
I find it interesting that Travis is the one that kind of scares you the most, because I actually had that circled for you as one that you would probably be looking forward to going back through your history. If you look at the quote-unquote oddball lakes in Texas, obviously you had a good finish in the major on Eagle Mountain there, and then you caught the 13-pounder on Richland Chambers?
Yeah, 13.9.
13.9 on Richland Chambers. So there's two non-traditional Texas fisheries that you've done well in. I figure you just make it a trio with another top 10 on Travis.
Well, I thank you, Matt. I hope to see you there on Sunday and be in that top 12 bunch. It would be fabulous. I like going to places that I've never been, and it tends to make me put my brain in gear and figure things out better than going to places that I have history, which makes the Kentucky Lake finish even that much more important to me, going to places part of the lake I never had fished before. So Travis will probably be okay. But once I get done with the Travis tournament, that will have meant that I will have fished 22 of the last 24 days. And this old body's tired, Matt. It's tired. It'll be a struggle to get through physically, but I'll manage. I'll do what I have to do to get 5 a day and keep it rolling.
All right, man. We really appreciate you taking time out, Mark, to talk about this. You're having a great season. We wish you nothing but the best. And make sure you text us or text me the A-Train's number so we can get him on the show.
We will get the A-Train to you ASAP. How's that sound?
All right, man. That rocks. All right. Be safe. Best of luck to you, and we will speak with you soon, Mark.
That sounds great. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for letting me view my opinions on this important matter and how it's going to affect us. We will do the best we can and all work together. We'll work together on this and get this put to bed.
All right, man. Thank you so much. See you, Mark.
See you guys.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right. Very, very, very good stuff.
That was scary.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's and when I went back and I was looking at content and videos and stories and stuff, this thing's been happening a while.
Is that called proliferation? Is that what that means? When
yeah.
And then the other thing that stuck out to me from that interview is Mr. Menendez's knowledge of the river and lock and dam and waterway systems in that part. I was like, dang, I don't even know like what they call the lock to get into Kerr on the Arkansas River. And this guy mentally can map out the entire region and area. That were you not impressed with that, Mark?
Oh yeah, that was badass.
That was
really
That's
cool.
got to be in our highlight replay.
Yeah. Here to here to here to here to here.
To here through this water, and then he's got the left and right and cardinal directions, and it's impressive.
All right, man. Next week, we will post the schedule on the site. Not really sure what we're doing next week because you are headed to Lake Travis.
Yeah, we should have one on-location show and one Tuesday. Well, I'll be around if we want to do a Tuesday show. We can do a Tuesday at 9 a.m.
All right, we'll have we'll put who the guest is. We got to work on that, obviously.
And then
both events taking place next week. You got the FLW Kentucky Lake.
Mm-hmm.
You have Travis going on.
I hear there's an Asian Carp problem at Kentucky Lake. It'll be interesting to see how those FLW boys handle it.
Yeah. I spoke with a number of them, actually. Spoke to 4 or 5 of them.
That'll be a ledge deal.
Should be. There'll still be some spawning going on, though.
And Mark talked about that, and I think Timmy Horton said he found some stuff at the end that almost saved him and lost a couple giants that were out there deep cranking. So we can get Randy Haynes out there.
So very, very good stuff. Want to thank Mark once again. Hopefully, for the people that listen to the replay.
Hopefully, Tackle Warehouse isn't. They're getting paid by charging Mark by the hour.
Yeah. Maynard and a couple other people on the instant feedback says this is something that Johnny Morris has got to get involved in.
Oh, I totally agree.
A good point.
That'd be a great point.
I mean, think about how much money he stands to lose if this thing turns into what could be expected. So, good show, man. And we'll be back on Tuesday. A lot of stuff taking place, man. These next 4 weeks going to be critical for a lot of guys on both tours. FLW guys trying to make their way into the Cup, and Elite Series guys trying to get some momentum. I will have my update. The other thing, real quick, Matt, I did receive another email. People are wanting the manifesto. I just don't know when I can do the manifesto.
You will have your update on what?
Year-to-date stuff. After 3 events, I did some statistical breakdowns.
Oh, yeah.
On through 3 events. So we will review that on Tuesday and have a special guest on. So everybody be safe. Enjoy the weekend. Have fun, especially you guys up north. Go catch a couple. Everybody stay tuned.